Hello YouTubers, this is a special session where we get to build an end-to-end NuGet library together. If you have been following some of the previous sessions that we've been having with the community, you've noticed that, we found a need. We have a need for our ability to be able to go and say, I want to mock an internal function within a given service. And this is a scenario for like a dead-end services or self-sufficient services that don't really need any dependencies, but you still want to test drive, this particular service ability to handle, service exceptions, like a particular exception that may come that your validation layer is preventing from happening. So how do we do that? Let me first kind of draw a picture for you here, and then together we'll be able to kind of understand the perspective and understand, the purposes behind this. Let me just fix my setup here. Here we go. And then here's an example. So let's just go to the regular expressions project, right? This is a project that we were working on for a while, and what the project does is that basically allows engineers to use something a more something simpler. Let me also increase the resolution here just so people can see on their phones. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right, so let's go back to this. So here's a branch that Mabruk, Ricky, and I have been working on to kind of get the expression start. Let's just see the problem that we're dealing with so we can understand how we fix these problems and hopefully get it to a resolution. So you have this function here, and this function, what it's doing, let me get latest on this one. Here we go. Okay, so you have this test going on here, and this test basically says, I want you to be able to return this value, right? An easy fix for this test is to be able to go and say, oh, okay, then, this is the start or on start of this expression, then just return this value, and we're done here, no harm, no foul. Okay, that's just the easy, simple way. And if I run my test right now, like this, let me take away my breakpoint and run my test like this, things should look, just fine. Like this. Here we go. Something like this. I also don't think this is, let's see here. Yep, that's our guy. That's our guy right here. And we don't need this expression service or any of that because it's, let's see. Oh, it's actually on the expression side. So hold on. Let me go back here. Foundations, expressions. This is the expression service and it has all that. Okay. So now bear with me on this one. This is a self-sufficient service. It doesn't really call any external dependencies, right? It doesn't really rely on anybody. There are no brokers that it wants to rely on to be able to actually process, a request, and we can attach particular events. Anything could happen inside of a service like this. Let's say an exception occurred because of a memory leakage or something like that. Now your software is exposed because it doesn't really cover all the potential scenarios where certain problems can occur. I want to be able to go and say, here is my models. Let's create a model here. Here's models. And here is my foundations, so as my model under foundation services. And then we have expression services, And underneath that, I want to go and say, oh, when the exception happens, a particular exception happens, I want to throw a failed expression service exception. Right? And this is a localized exception that basically says, oh, you can't actually, proceed with this exception, but we're going to localize it for you so you can work with it. Okay, so this is an exception. It has, here's your CTOR. You can basically go and say, I need my exceptions library. I don't have that library in here yet. Let me go back here and pull out that library exception. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, and if I go down here, it'll basically say, here's your exception, and it takes a service exception. We're gonna leave this problem here, and we're gonna come back to it later, to show that the issue actually can be resolved. it can be very easily resolved without any issues. So okay, so this is your constructor, and then in here I'm basically going and saying here's my base class, and inside this base class I'm basically saying here's a message, failed expression service error occurred, contact support. Like this, and I'm passing in my inner exception in here. Okay, I didn't call this inner exception, let's call it inner exception together. Here we go. Okay, so that's your inner exception. Great. Right? The problem with that is, you know, we want to verify, we want to write a test that says if that exception, if a generic exception occurs, I want to catch that exception, localize it, categorize it, and then validate that my service actually have done that kind of work, right? So I need another categorical exception in here, and I'm going to call it expression service exception, like this. And this expression service exception, exactly same. We can go here and say public. This guy will inherit from exception library, and we'll basically go and say, here we go. This is my exception, inner exception, and I want to basically go and say expression service error occurred, contact support, and here's your inner exception. Okay, so this will be the wrapper of the specific issue, you know, exception that we have, which is great. Now I need to write a test. Let's write a little test in here. Let me take away the camera here so you can see what I'm doing. And here is a exceptions. And in the exceptions area here, we're going to write that test. So what does the test say? I want to be able to handle, you know, the exception that may occur out of a service like this. So should throw service exception on start, right, if service error occurs. And there's no logging because it's just a library, so there's no logging for this one. Some libraries will need you to kind of shoot out tracing, but I haven't really standardized that yet. So for now, let's just say you don't even have a logging broker. This is all that you have in here. Okay. Okay, so I need an exception. So that's a normal exception that's coming in here, like this. And I want a failed expression service exception. So here is your new failed expression service exception. Great. And that guy will take that exception as an inner. So that's your inner exception right here. And then it will wrap that up in a categorical exception. So that's my expected, right? I guess in that case, since you don't have logging, you don't really have to write that expected. You just go and say this is what's supposed to be the inner exception. Okay, and here's an action, and this action says retrieve. What did we call the method in here? The method on this service is called a get start expression. Here, get start expression action. And this will call the service, and it will say get start expression done and done. Great. Now, what I want to do with this is that I want to take that action and verify. Now, I want to go and say assert throws the generic exception, which is expression service exception. This guy will take in as an input parameter the get action that we have in here, and this guy will not require, I guess it would, there. So it will take that action, hold on, I think it's more like, so this is throws, this guy takes a assert throws, and then it takes an action. That's our action in here, verifies, blah. What is the problem? The type exception is, oh, it just needs a build, because exception as a library didn't get copied over. So that's why, that's the problem. Okay, now it's going to be happy. Okay, perfect. And then the last thing I want to say, this is my expected exception. So in here I want to go and say this is expression service exception. right? So this is your expression service exception. Here's your assert, because the assert returns actually that value, right? And then we want to go here and say, I want to make sure that my the inner exception of this guy is exactly the same. So failed expression service exception should be equivalent to, right, to the expression service exception dot inner exception, which is supposed to be the inside of this guy. So now we validated the in and out of both of these, right? How do I cause this exception to happen though? Now we're stuck in this situation where it's a self-sufficient service, right? It has its own independent kind of, like, its dependency is within it, right? It doesn't need to call some external value. Let's just see why this guy is not building first, and then we'll fix that. What happened here? Error list expected. Probably forgot something somewhere. Yeah, that guy. Okay, throw not new, not implemented exception. There you go. Okay, let's go back here. Let's rebuild all of this. Yeah, so I'm just using the easy the easy expression or easy regex just as an example of this, right? This can happen in so many different places. If you're building services that does some computation internally, it doesn't really have anything to depend on, so it's nice to kind of break your dependencies into private methods and stuff like that. Okay, so this guy's failing. We need to make this guy pass, right? There's no way for me here to go figure out a way of going and saying I need to throw an exception in here. I just can't. There's no way to do it, right? So how do we fix that, right? How do we fix this problem? A lot of research went into this. A lot of people from the community have been trying to kind of think about what solutions we can do and all that kind of stuff. And then, looking into things and, trying to kind of see what are the possible options out there, I ran into this library that Mabruk suggested, which is, it's called Harmony. And Harmony, basically what it does reflection. It goes and finds internal methods and basically appends to these methods or transpiles these methods with a completely different base code, right? So in our case here, I want to create internal dependency, and this internal dependency, I can mock it internally. So it's like partial mock, like not your entire services mock, just a partial mock on that service internally, so you can actually throw that exception and see how your service is going to handle it. Let me fire up draw IO here just to explain the idea a little bit better. So services, let's say you have a student service, right? And this student service is, you have this student service in here. And inside that student service, you have a function in here called add, let's say calculate student, I don't know, debt or something, right? And you don't really need to call any dependencies. It just does the calculation for you and tell you, okay, this is how much this student has, and let me does this calculation real quick, right? Let's say it doesn't call any dependencies. There's a case where it's going to have to go and call maybe a storage broker in here. And this storage broker will basically say, oh yeah, here's some data, and I'm going to give you that data back. So that guy is easily mockable, right? But there's a scenario where calculate student debt, the input parameters is already giving you all the details, and you don't need to call anything. You just give the service the student information, including all the payments he made, everything, and the service internally is doing that work for you. So a solution for this is to go and say, okay, that calculate student debt, basically does some work that can be broken. It becomes its own exposure layer or its own purposing layer, and we create something in here that says calculate debt, and this calculate debt will be the dependency for this guy. So now all that this guy gotta do is to call this dependency, but this dependency we're gonna mock it internally. We're going to mock it so we can throw an exception and we can see how the service is going to be able to handle that scenario, right? This is a little bit of an advanced topic because what we're basically talking about here is scenarios where you still want to stick to your engineering standards and guidelines. You want to still be able to kind of, mock dependencies and work with dependencies, but also at the same time, you also want to be able to stay consistent and be able to test drive outcomes out of your work the proper way. How do we do this? How do we go about doing this? So there's, like I said, Mabruk, suggested, great brother, very smart. He basically suggested this a library called Harmony. And what Harmony does, Harmony, C sharp, and what Harmony does, it allows you to actually kind of go and say, I can find an existing a method and I can postfix or prefix this method with something else. And when you prefix this method with something else, you can actually cause that exception to happen. Right? Let's do it the dirty way, just as a proof of concept. This is literally, out of this, I want you to see how I think about solving problems. There's storming, forming, norming. You're going through stages where you're doing some research, asking people around, working with other engineers, trying to kind of get, the lay of the land. But at some point in time, you're going to have to start implementing things, right? And this is why I record these sessions, so you get to see how my thought process is working. I'm recording the entire experience for you, so you can actually capture that and do the same thing and be able to deliver some value. So, okay, so there's so much details here about, we can fix this by basically mocking this library and doing these things. Let me show you the dirty way of doing that, right? There's a dirty way that's really, really bad. And then we're going to standardize it and write it in a library, and we're going to publish that. We're going to do the entire process end to end together today. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a longer session, but it's going to help you a lot kind of see how things are done and how we process our work. Okay, so let's go back to this example. How do we use Harmony in here to actually make this work? I'm going to go here into my unit test, and I'm going to add Harmony. Harmony is MIT licensed, beautiful library that helps you kind of find internal libraries in your system and be able to actually use them. The last time Harmony was published was March 12, 2022, so that's literally a month ago. So that library is still alive and active. These are the things that I notice when I'm doing things, so I make sure that whatever technology I'm using, I'm working with, is it deprecated? Is it not used anymore? You have to be careful when you're choosing a certain technology to rely on, to make sure that the technology is actually in a good state. So remember that part. That part is important. Okay, how is Harmony is going to help us out here, right? How is Harmony can help us in this situation? Well, it's very simple. Let's copy that test here, and let's throw it right here. And I'm just going to say this is the V2 version of this test, because this is what we're going to do, right? So in here, I'm going to go and say, okay, this is number 2, the second test, and I have an exception. I have expectations for my exceptions, right? Let's initialize this Harmony library. So it's Harmony, new Harmony, Harmony, like this. I know how to spell. And ID, whatever the ID may be, right? I'm going to throw a GUID in there just for all intents and purposes. GUID.new GUID.toString. Whatever, you can literally put anything in there, okay? Now, what Harmony is doing is that it does something called patching, right? You give it the method details, and it goes and it does some patching for you, right? And this patching process is super important because what it's basically helping you with is that it's collecting different pieces of information and creating an entirely new method that you can use to work with the details you want to work with. Okay, so I'm just trying to kind of find the the hard way, the dirty way of doing this, and then we're gonna do the really clean, nice way of doing it, and hopefully you'll find this useful and successful. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. Let's first go in here and say I want the original method that's a dependency for us, right? So I'm gonna go here and say, okay, this is my dependency method. This is what we are going to mock, right? And we're gonna use a reflection in here. So I'm gonna go and say type of, and this is my expression service like this. And this expression service will help us get method information. So I need to get a method with a particular detail. So what's the name of this method? The method name is called this method here, the dependency, this guy. So I'm going to put this guy in a little method in here, extract method. Oops, not like that. Hold on. I'm going to extract this method here, right? And I'm going to say get, what's it called? Caret top or something like that. Top caret. Caret top is a yep. Top caret is the is the comedian, you know. Is it Carrot Top? You can't win in here. C#. Just carrot. It's just called carrot. Okay. Cool. Get carrot. So this is my dependency. My dependency is internal, and all it's doing, it's giving me some details about a certain value that I want to pull from for my service. So this get start expression is the business logic, and get carrot doesn't know why you're getting carrot for, you know, so it's basically giving you back this value. Okay, great. Now what? Let's go back in here and take that name of this dependency here, and this guy doesn't need to be static. Let's take that guy out. Let's go back here and see if we can put that name in here. Okay, so that's my dependency, right? So whatever is coming from here, I think is a method detail, or method info. Yeah, method info. Okay, that's my dependency. Great. The other dependency that I want to put in here is something that throws an exception temporarily, and that's why I said this is dirty. I'm going to go here and say here's a public void throw exception method, and this method will just go ahead and throw a new exception for me. That's all it's going to do. No harm, no foul. Just like that. So it's just a method that throws an exception. Okay, and this throw exception method, its main thing that it's going to be doing is that it's going to go and say, I want to be able to throw that particular exception and append that value to the existing method that you're working with. I want to be able to append a value to the existing method that you're trying to work with. This is how it's doing that. It's basically handling a situation where you're trying to basically collect a bunch of pieces together, and these are the pieces that you're working with, right? Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to go here and say, okay, so this is another method, method info, and this is throwing exception method. So this is you basically adding code inside of your dependency code on the fly. On the fly, just like that. This guy is in a different class, so it's expression service tests. Expression service tests. And we want to get a method, and this method is called, the name of that method is called throw exception, I think. Is that what we call it? Throw exception. Method names have to always have verbs in it. So that's important. What is the bother here with the underlying disable? There you go. Happy? There you go. Okay. Now, what's the next step? The next step here is that we want to patch both of these methods together, right? So I want to go here and say this is where harmony comes in. I'm going to go here and say harmony patch, right? And in this harmony, I want to go and add things together in one place. So here is my dependency method, and here is a new harmony method. And this new harmony method will take that throwing exception method. So now we have a deal. The deal here basically is that every time this dependency will be called, this get caret, this will be injected, and a service exception will be thrown. All right. So now, so far so good. I can get rid of literally most of this. I don't need this guy here anymore. We're gonna need it later when we clean up stuff, but not at the moment, right? Or maybe we'll keep it for the localization, but we're gonna have to check it again later. What that basically says is that if I run my test now, let's see, if I run my test now, it should technically be able to go and say Wait, a service exception has occurred. What is this? Did I misspell disable? Edit. Yeah, disable, just like that. Okay. Okay. Let's run this again. So if I run this here we go. We might need to define the access level of these methods. If it can't find it, we'll see. Yeah, null reference exception, method for this, patch, yeah. That's another thing we need to do. We need to fix the binding, for this. I was hoping that it would detect it automatically, but apparently not. So binding flags, and then we want to say this is a private, non-public method, but also binding flags, and this is an instance method because it's not static. Right, the same thing happens with this guy. We basically want to define these two pieces here by basically going and saying, I want to, did we define this as non-public? No, it's public actually. Okay, so this is public, and it's also an instance. Let's see if that helps. Here we go. And it should fail, rightfully so, but we want it to fail for the right reason. There's a good failure and a bad failure. Common language detection, invalid program. What did I miss? I must have missed something really simple. Let's see if I missed something. Let me make this private. So this will be non-public. Not that it matters, but we want to make sure we're doing the right stuff in here. And this is your prefix. So that should be a prefix. And this is the original method, the dependency method. And this is getCaret, and in here I have getCaret, and it's a private, and it's an instance method. All of this is correct. Okay. Let's see, am I missing anything else? I don't think so. Let's see. Common language runtime. Oh, wait. Common language runtime invalid program. Common language runtime. Did I misspell getCaret? Okay, did I misspell this one? No, these are perfect. So this is throwing method exception, new harmony method. This is all good. And then you have this running. Oh, I think I know why. I think invalid program. Is this because this is running on .NET 6? I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. Let me just rebuild everything first, just to make sure. And then if I run this, test again, and okay, the same. What if I made this method static? So private static string, and this is static. Would that help? No, there's something else. I'm missing a tiny detail. Let's see, maybe it's the program itself, whatever in here. Not that I think that would be the case, but let's just try it. Common language runtime, harmony method, throwing exception, throw exception, non-public instance. And what if I made this static? Static. And this guy becomes static in here. I think that might be it. That this guy needs to be static in this particular realm. Yeah, there it is. That's what I wanted. So, okay, I don't think I need to make this guy static though. It doesn't matter. Like this guy can be an instance. And if I go here, I can go and take the static aspect of this, and I can run this again, and now it's actually throwing an exception, properly throwing an exception that you want to handle. Okay, so is it actually throwing the right exceptions? Yeah, so it's basically saying expected you to have an expression service exception, and then you threw a exception. That basically means if I go and do a try catch, like we usually do, if I go here and say, here is your exceptions piece, and if this is a partial class, then I can go here. We're going to use delegations because that's the right thing to do. And then we're going to go here and say private delegate string returning string function, and this returning string function is gonna, here's another one, string try catch returning string function. And then in here I'm basically gonna go and say he's returning string function, so I'm passing in this function in here, and I'm handling the exception by basically going and saying var failed expression service exception new failed expression service exception. And here is your service exception in here. So that's an exception like this. And then we want to throw this. So like new expression service exception like this. And this guy will take the failed expression service exception, and that would be it. Okay, perfect. So here's this guy. We took this. We basically are saying we're handling things properly. So now I can go in here and say, okay, this guy then will be try catch, right? And this guy will have the information in it. So this became a dependency. This guy became a dependency. And the rest of the system is basically just running based on that. It's basically running based on, oh, I have my own internal dependency, and that internal dependency is going to take care of, you know, handling that scenario. Is that really the case? Let's find out. So let's go back here into the exceptions case, just like how we built it like this, and let's try it out. Let's see here. We're going to run this. Here we go. And we might have missed one tiny thing. Let's see, exception. Let's see, validate property. Yeah, it's, so we can go here and say, okay, let's get rid of both of these. And let's go here and say this should, there, expression service exception dot inner exception should be, or we can do this even better. I can go and say assert expression service exception dot inner exception is failed expression service exception, something like that. And this guy should be true. This guy should pass because it's basically doing exactly what I expect it to. So let's just run this and see if that actually is the truth. And it passed. So you see, internally we mocked the service internally, right, to allow us to access a dependency method inside that service that we can actually work with, right? And based on that, we're basically going and saying, okay, if this is the case, then, you know, this is something that people could use, right? Because now we're starting to grow as an engineering community. You know, we're evolving our standard in situations and scenarios where we run into issues like these that requires us to research. This is a proof of concepts. It's very dirty and it sucks. It looks horrible, right? Because this is not exactly what we want to happen, right? We want to handle this a lot more differently than that. I can't go to someone and say, go ahead and do reflection and create harmony and all that. I can't do that, right? So what am I going to do? We're going to release a beta release, just a beta version of a library. We're going to write a library today. We're going to call it InternalMock, right? And what this InternalMock library, it's going to basically go and say, go find the dependencies, go find the work that we need to do, and go ahead and pull that all of that over, and basically allow us to kind of uh, develop that in a nice seamless way. We're going to build that together step by step. So here's InternalMock. This is my InternalMock library in here. And I basically just started working on it. I thought to myself, okay, if I'm going to work on this, I may as well just kind of, just show people the work that I'm doing, and build the entire library one shot. The entire library in one shot, help everyone kind of see how things evolve. So what do we need to make this library work, right? We need few things. Let's go back to this example. So you have internal, and you have storage broker, calculate, student, all that. What do we need to make this? What are our dependency? Well, we have harmony in here. So we have this harmony. Let's call it patch broker. Okay, so that's our patch broker in here. And we also want the reflection broker. Reflection broker. So patch broker and reflection, so here we're giving it higher level names. And then what we want on top of that, we basically want to add a couple of services. This will be patch service, and this will be reflection service. Okay, great. We need an orchestration service in here that goes and says, go ahead and get these methods with these exact names and information in terms of reflection, and then give me back the patching process, so I can patch these two methods together and allow a seamless transaction to happen in that service. Again, it's going to be a very dirty beta release, but it's going to be test driven, it's going to be clean, it's going to live up to the level of standardization that we have always been teaching people to do. So this will be InternalMock orchestration service. Okay, so the orchestration service is going to go get the bunch of methods, details. All it's doing, you're just passing some information to it. It's going to give us these details. And then the other method will basically go and say, go and patch these together and give me the ability and capability to kind of process that all at once. In front of all of this, because this is a library, we want to create an extension. So this will be InternalMock extensions. That will be your exposure layer, right? And that exposure layer will basically allow people to type on the fly, like they're actually adding mocking internal methods on the fly while they're writing the services that they're working with. Okay, so that will be our exposure layer in here, and the people that follow the series of system design and architecture will understand this pattern. And we have the dependencies in here, and we have the purposing in here. This looks great, looks like a plan, right? So let's go and do that. Let's go and create a repository, InternalMock we called it, and let's create these issues together. Okay, so this is issues, here is infra, initialize, project and tests. Okay, we already done that one. Let's go and create a new one, which is brokers, implement patch broker. So here's that one. We also want brokers, get reflection, get internal method by reflection. Okay, so we have this guy as well. We need a foundation service. There's foundations, right? And our foundation service is basically going to go and say patch methods in here. And in here we have a foundation that says retrieve method information. So that's my other guy in here. Okay, what else do I want? I want an orchestration service. And this orchestration service will say InternalMock service or InternalMock method, right? So this is the other guy. Okay, so what else do I need here? I think that's I think that's pretty much it. You know, and then the last one is that we want the extension library. So this is exposer, right? Implement extensions library, right? And this will be, we'll just say mock, basically. That's all it's doing. Okay, let's do that together. Let's see how that, you know, ends up for us, right? Let's go back here. So we already got the infrastructure piece. This is done. Let's go into a new branch in here. Here's my master branch. Let's sync this up. Let's start building our brokers. So here's a broker, brokers. And let's start. It's always nice to go with the flow. What is the first thing, you know, we are used to do is to get back a method information. We want to get back that method information and give it back to another library. So okay, so let's go here and say reflections, right? And in here, I want to basically go and say, here is an iReflection broker. iReflection broker. Okay, we need a nice copyright for this one so we can let's find it from any other project that we have. What project do I have that actually does libraries and stuff? Let's go here. RESTful sense. Let's pick up here. Let's go back here. Here's the library. Okay. And this reflection broker, what it's basically going to do is just going to give me back method information. So remember in the other project that we worked on, the other example, we're basically getting method info. So I just want that. I want that method info basically. So here's method info like this. And in here get method info. And we want string method name. Okay, so we want to just get the method name from this particular, you know, method information piece. Okay, so far so good. Let's go ahead and implement that, right? So I want to go here and say, here's a class, here's the reflection broker, and here is the copyrights. Control key E, clean this up, and then here is my public class, and I want to go and say reflection broker, and this reflection broker is supposed to do this work for me based on the method name. Okay, so now what do we need to do here? Let's go back here into the original implementation. This guy here, it goes and says, give me the type, give me the method, right? And I'm going to take that type from you, and I'm going to go try to get that particular method information for you. Right, so that's how this is going to work, right? So I need some sort of way to get the type of this guy. So maybe my input parameters require a little bit more than just the method that I'm working with. I need also a type in here. So let's go back here and change our contract. So this will be a service type. There's will be type, service type, and the method name. So that's your service, and here's the method name. In fact, actually, this guy doesn't even know about that. We'll just call it a type. So this will tell me which method I need to pull. Okay, great. Let's go back to the implementation here and go and say, okay, then you have a type and you have a method name. I want to return this. I want to go and say return type.getMethod, right? And that's the method name. The method name is this guy, right? But we also need the binding and stuff, just like we did last time. So this will be, oh my lord, what did this guy do? So let's go all the way and just, here's your private, non-public, and binding flags. Let's try to simplify this in the POC. I hope I can find a way. Let's see here. What if I got rid of this completely? And I just said non-public. Would that help? Let's see. I honestly don't know why it's not just figuring it out on its own. It's kind of sad. So this works. No, it doesn't. It has to know value cannot be null. It has to know whether this method is an instance or a static or whatever. Okay, I'll put it as static for now, and then we'll come back to this one. Here's static. There you go. Right, and of course I need to be able to disable the null check. Really annoying. You know, okay, so this guy is done too. Okay, so I have a method name, and we have the binding attribute, I think. There. And that's my type. There you go. I hope that this is working everywhere. There you go. Reflection, get method info. Yeah, I got it. It's right here. Okay, so that's a broker. Let's go ahead and create a new branch. Users, Hassan Habib, brokers dash reflection. Reflection.get method info. Okay, that's my guy. Okay, let's go here, brokers, implement, or let's just say get method info, just like that. Okay, so this one is done. Great. The next comes in next, right? I want to create a, here, let's just code rob, remove extra files. Let's just go here and say this, push all of this out, and hopefully will tell us to create a pull request. There it is. Here's a pull request, brokers, implement get method info. Okay, great. And this guy closes, and where is internal method by reflection? There it is. Let's look at the code again real quick just to make sure. Always look at your own code. I was just talking to my friend yesterday about this. You know, it doesn't hurt you to take a minute just to see how things look like before you merge your code. You know, be your own code reviewer. Be your own person that actually looks at the code and determines how the code looks like. Okay, so this is done. Let's go back to main. See, this systematic practice of test driving your code and building your brokers and dependencies is going to help you a lot down the road. So okay, so if I were to nullify all of this, I would say this one is done. Now let's start with this one. This is how I manage progress, right? Just gives me visualization. Actually, this one is this, and this one is like that. Okay, perfect. Let's go into the second one. So if I get latest from here, because I think I merged the PR. Here's my brokers, here's my tests, here's all my good stuff. I need a new broker in here, and I'm going to call it the patching broker. Patchings, because it's a namespace. It doesn't really abide by the English language kind of thing. It's more like a code. It's code, right? So it can say all kinds of crazy things. Like iQueryable, for instance, is not really English. There's no such a thing in the English language called queryable. That's not a thing. So it's more like the code and what makes sense to read in the code, right? So this is patch broker. iPatch broker. iPatch broker, interesting. Okay, so is this guy, right? And this guy also need a copyright up here, Control K. There he is. And then I want to implement a function that does the patching for me. Patching doesn't necessarily, it doesn't return anything. Like if you go back, this is why having POCs is really important, because it'll keep you sane. The patching here, does it return actually? Oh, it just returns a method info. Something that you can continue to patch on, but that's not really what we're trying to accomplish here, so that should be okay. So let's do that. Let's go here and say void. I don't really care about the return type. Does it help me in any way? Sure. You know, you never know, right? Method info. Right, and you basically want to say patch methods. And this patch methods is gonna require two things, right? It requires a harmony method, but that doesn't matter because I'm basically going here and saying method info original method, and here's method info additional. It doesn't know why is this being used for. It just knows that this is the service that we can offer. Okay, let's go and write that patch broker. And this patch broker here will be is public class iPatch broker, right? Control KE. And in here, I want to do that magic. So I'm going to go here and start with this private read-only a harmony. That's our harmony guy, and that's the guy that we need to install. That's Visual Studio. Yeah, Visual Studio isn't able to find it. So let's go here and let's find harmony real quick. Harmony is the library. Install. Come on. Sometimes Visual Studio just gets a little weird. Here we go. Okay, so there's harmony, and then I want to initialize that guy because we're going to do something else with it later, just in a little bit. So it's harmony, and I need a constructor, and this constructor is going to be this dot harmony equal new harmony, and then I'm going to say InternalMock. So that's the instance that we're working with. We want to randomize that at some point in time, but that doesn't matter here. Okay, what am I going to do here? I'm going to say return this dot harmony patch, and I'm going to pass in the original, and I'm going to pass in a harmony method, and this harmony method will take that additional piece, just like that. Let's simplify this implementation like this. Okay. All right, so this basically going to take two methods, doesn't care, and it's just going to ship them in there, and this guy is going to do the patching. Great. That's one implementation. Let's go here and do a new branch. Users, Hassan, Habib, dot brokers, patching, patch, and then patch methods. Okay, here we go. Let's create this guy. It says brokers, and then patch methods. Perfect. Let's push that up, and let's create a pull request for this guy. Here we go. Closes, and that will be the patch implement extensions. Where is, did I close two? What? I don't have the issue for it. Foundations broker implement patch broker. That's this guy right here. And that guy should be closed. We don't need that guy anymore. Yeah, implement patch broker. Actually, this implement patch broker specific patch broker for patching methods, because there will be another one that we're going to do in a second. Okay, let's see. Is it number 2? There it is. Brokers, create, request. And that guy, we'll just take a quick look just to make sure that our code is clean. Clean, 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 clean. Perfect. Let's merge that in. Beautiful. Okay, fantastic. I guess did the branches that I create already carry that, so I don't need that pull request anymore? Is that what it is? Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Okay, so I don't need that pull request. Okay, so what's the new broker that I want to do? Brokers, clear out patches. right? And this is something in Harmony that it does, is that it needs, after you patch everything and your code's still running, you want to also clear it out. Otherwise, your tests are going to fail, right? So let's go back to our master branch here. This is weird because I just created this GitHub repository literally right now. I'm surprised it says master instead of main. Weird. It could be a version in Visual Studio. I don't know. Okay, so we have the patching again, iPatch broker, and in here I want to go and say void unpatch. Is it unpatch and unpatch? There it is. Unpatch all. Right? So I can go here now and say, okay, give me that implementation, unpatch all, and what this guy is going to do is just going to go and say, give me harmony dot unpatch all, just like that. Well, so far so good. This looks like a good plan, right? Because what we're basically doing, we're just going and saying, okay, this is the instance that I have, and I want to unpatch everything. Oh, is it with a lowercase? Okay. Okay, fine. Lowercase. Okay. That takes care of this implementation. Real quick, let's go ahead and create a users. Hassan, Habib, brokers, unpatch all. Alright, since we called it a patch broker, I think the language is okay. And we can basically push that guy up like this. So here's brokers, unpatch all methods. This is basically clearing out everything for you. Okay, great. We have method info, we have stuff going on. Fantastic. Now I can create a pull request for this one as well. And I can go and say closes, clear out patches. Done. Create. Go back to the code. See how easy this is? Quick and easy. Unpatch all. It's just calling the dependency and it's being really cool about it. Great. Done. Okay. What's the next step? Let's go back to our map here. You know, going back to the map's very important so you know where you stand, right? So this guy's done. We need a patch service. This is when we're gonna start testing, right? We need a patch service that basically goes and says, you know, if an exception occurs, if you have an input parameter, you know, we want to basically go and say any data that comes through that system, you know, go ahead and, you know, call that dependency, you know, and have that dependency do that work for you, right? How are we going to do that? Let's go implement that patch service first. Well, do we start with reflection? This guy should go ahead of this guy because that's the order of things. Like the orchestration service is going to call first the reflection to get the information about the methods, and then it's going to do the patching. So let's give this guy the orange color here. All right, let's go implement that guy. Here is the patch broker. Let's go back to our master branch here. Let's create a new branch, users, Hassan, Habib, foundations, and retrieve method info. Okay. Let's do that. Let's go and create a new folder called services. And under services, we want foundations. And under foundations, we basically want the reflections. Yep, reflection service. And I'm going to go and build an interface called iReflection Service. Just like that. Come on. There we go. iReflection Service. Okay, perfect. There's this guy. And public. And this guy is just going to return a method info just as is. What's a method info consist of? Let's take a look here. Oh, it has a lot of stuff in it. There's a lot of stuff. Okay. Okay, so method info, and then in here retrieve method information. right? And this guy will take a type, and it will take a string method name. Great. Let's go create the service. Reflection service. And let's create the iReflection service. Like this, Control KE. And then we have a dependency now. So private read-only iReflection broker. This is your reflection broker in here. And here is your constructor, and your constructor takes in a reflection broker and sets it up for you. So it's a reflection broker. Since we don't have any injection in here necessarily, we could initialize internally. I think that's okay. Okay, let's initialize internally for this one. So this dot reflection broker equal new reflection broker, just like that. And this guy handles its own dependencies and no problem there. But that won't work because you want to basically test things, right? So reflection broker, we'll let the client do that initialization. That's right, that's my mistake. Okay, reflection broker, like that. Okay, and the expectation here is that we call that reflection broker, we just pass the type and the method name to it. No harm, no foul, just as simple as that. No problem there, right? So let's go ahead in the testing area. Let's just fix the situation that we have here with .NET 7. Disable, just like that. And I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna go and say I need a throw away the usings, throw away the unit test. Let me take away the camera here because it's covering the, here we go. Let's take this guy, and then we want to create a new folder in here. We're going to call it services, and under this folder we're going to create a new foundations, and under foundation we're going to create a new thing called reflections. Why is this guy mad though? What is it mad about? libharmony, what's it saying? It doesn't like this .NET 7 version. We'll get to it. We might release it in .NET 6 because it's a stable version. I'm okay with that. It's .NET 6 and .NET 6 because 7 is not really production ready. So, you know, let's have this in .NET 6. It'll be fine. Okay, so reflections. Here I am. I want to basically create a, you know, of any type. I basically want to go and say, so this is reflections. Reflection service tests, right? So I'm writing some tests. Come on. Oh, I don't have the copyright for that yet because it's a new project. That's right. You know, thank God for Windows V. It'll help you find things that you copied before, so we should be fine. Here we go. I need a mock library for this guy. So let's say private read-only mock iReflection broker. So I'm mocking my reflection broker. There's reflection broker mock. And this guy is your reflection broker mock. Here it is. I'm initializing that, but I also want private read-only reflection service. So here's my reflection service. Perfect. Okay, what else do I need here? I basically need to go and say this reflection service will take that broker. There's reflection service equal new reflection service. I need to pull that dependency. It's already here, and this is your reflection broker. Reflection broker. This dot reflection broker mock dot object. What's wrong with this service? Why is it being weird? Reflection service. Reflection service takes in public reflection service. Why is it mad? I don't understand. What's the problem? Reflection service is inaccessible. Inaccessible? Did I not make it? Okay, public. There you go. Okay, cool. Great. What else do we need to do here? Let's go to the tests that we want to build. Well, we need a couple of things before the test. We need fluent assertions to tell us, to give us a, not fluent assertions. We need the object filler library to kind of help us out with the details of this guy, right? So I need object filler in here. Well, let's update all of these things first, and then we'll proceed from there. What other updates do we need? Always keep your stuff up to date. You know, it's always a good habit. You know, security patches, all the little details that you need to keep your software up to date, so you don't have to kind of get dinged for, you know, being out of date for whatever security patch. Because, you know, a .NET team is always discovering new things, new problems that are happening in the system, and you want to keep up with that, right? You want to keep up with that. Even if you don't understand exactly the little details, like you'll see a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to run after every shiny thing, right? But also, these are the exact same people that will go and say, you know, I don't want, I'm not going to read the details of the new releases of .NET. So they don't want to upgrade, but they also don't want to read the details. So don't be like that guy, right? Just go ahead and read the details and make sure that you're, you know, staying up to date. Update in general is a good thing, you know, and if you're staying with the preview versions, you're already helping the .NET team kind of hash out the bugs, you know, which is inevitably going to help you personally down the road. Okay, so here's public string get random method name. I think that's what I need, right? And yeah, and then we want to go and say new mnemonic string. We just want one word. What did I not install? What did I just install? Did I not? Oh, I just updated. I didn't really install anything. So okay, here's object filler. Come on. I don't know why things are a little slow today. I don't know what happened there. Ideally, things are a little bit faster, but it looks like my computer is fasting today. It's a problem. It's a little problem. There you go. I guess clicking away makes it faster. I didn't know that happens. It's okay. Mnemonic string object filler. Here's my object filler. This library is just going to help me kind of get details that I need to kind of, you know, get a method name. But I also want to be able to go and say why is this guy public? This is private static get random method name. I also want private static type and get random type. I want to be able to get a random type for this guy. Getting a random type is going to be interesting, right? Because which type exactly do we need, right? I'm going to randomize it anyway because I like randomization. I'm going to just throw a bunch of types in there and see which one sticks, right? Doesn't matter, you know, we could just come up with a bunch of... So, okay, so here is, you know, a random number, right? So this is new int range, something from 0 to 3, right? So this is get value. So this guy's just going to give me a random number with the range between 0 and 3. And then I'm going to go here and say random number switch, right? In case it's 0, then return, I don't know, new string type. Can I just say string? Or maybe type of string like that. Okay. And then if it's 1, return type of, I don't know, int 32 or 64. And if it's 2, return type of Boolean. I intentionally write the alias, even though Visual Studio is mad. You can tell Visual Studio is super mad because it says, oh, why don't you just put the primitive type? But I'm treating this as not a primitive type. I'm treating it as a an actual full-fledged class with methods and everything else inside of it. So I like that name better. So now let's go and write a test in here. So here's a paste. Let's go here and say logic. Logic, since this is the only method, there's no need to kind of break, into logic dot method name. Unless you have multiple method, there's no need to do that. So here's partial, and then I'm gonna go here and clean all that up. And all we gotta do is just validate. It's a very straightforward kind of library. It's just built properly in a test-driven way, so it can help people kind of take care of their business and know that they're working with a library that actually properly written, properly engineered, properly, focusing on that particular purpose. Okay, so here's public void should retrieve method info. Okay, so this is great. Oh, I also probably need a method info somewhere, right? So let's go here and say private static method info. Create random method info, which I really, yeah, let's do that. So this will go and say new feller method info. I don't know if that one is going to work. This one is going to challenge because it's an external kind of thing, but we'll try. We'll give it a shot. Create. Ideally, we want to localize these models anyway, but we'll get to that. Okay, so given when then, and here is a string, so type random type. So create or get random type. Okay, and then type again, input type. So this is your random type right here. Random type, like that. Okay, great. And then also we want a random method name. Right, so just get random method name. And here's another one that says input method name. Okay, great. What else? We want to basically go and say method info. This one might barf with generation, but we'll see. Random method info, create random method info, and then here's method info again. And method info is retrieved method info. There's random method info right here. I also want the expected method info. Expected method info. That's from the retrieved method info right here. Okay. Can we make this work? Can we make this work? We need to deep clone this as well, because deep cloning will basically dereference this out. So this is deep cloner. Let's deep clone this guy, because anybody could retrieve something from a broker and they can manipulate the value and you wouldn't know because you're sharing the same reference. But if you dereference what's coming back, go back to our videos and our materials, you'll understand there's a lot of capabilities there that we have learned and evolved through the years just so we can handle situations like these. Okay, Visual Studio is getting sleepy again. I have to click. so if you're if you're retrieving a NuGet package and it's not coming, just click on other tabs and it's gonna come back to you. That's just so stupid. Okay, so let's do deep clone in here. Deep clone like this, so that dereferences this guy from any internal guys. Okay, so this dot mock is my mock, and then setup. Here's my setup, and here's my broker. And this broker here dot get method info, and we're gonna pass in input type and input method name, and it's gonna be great. Input method name. So we're test driving that this implementation has to happen exactly this exact same way, and this guy will return what the retrieved method info, just like that. Okay, great. Now let's implement this method info, actual method info, this dot service dot retrieve method information. Here's your input type, and here's your input method name, just like that. So now we need fluent assertion. So we need to go and say actual method info should be equivalent to whatever we retrieved from this guy. So we need another quick library in here called Fluent Assertions. Fluent Assertions. Installing Fluent Assertions. Yep, click around, it's gonna come back. Disaster. Okay. And then let's go here and say, okay, this guy should what? Should be equivalent to Come on, wake up. What happened? Does it not know be equivalent to? Or is it because of the type of this guy? Should be. Did they change the what it should be the same as asserts that an object reference refers to the exact same object as another reference. That's not it. Hold on. So should be equivalent. So what happened? Is it this type that's weird? It doesn't like this type. It has something weird with it, and that's why it doesn't. What's method info? Is it like a? See, that's right. Expected here first. And let's see what's the deal. What is the type of this guy? Oh, it's an abstract class. That's why. Okay, so it doesn't know how to compare them in a way. And that's why we need to do reflection, but we don't really know what kind of information is encapsulated there. So the reflection is going to take, like mapping is going to take a little bit of time to kind of figure out. Let's just try it this way. I'm going to go here and say, well, technically, it should be the same reference anyway. Actually, it wouldn't, because it won't be the same reference because we dereferenced the expected out of the retrieved, right? So we're going to need to figure out a way around this, right? But we also want to go and say this here, verify broker get method info dot times once, just like that. Okay, here we go, times once. There's nothing else. There's no logging or anything like that. So here's your stuff. So now if I run this tests, assuming that it can generate, I don't even know if the expected exception, like I don't even know if we'll be able to kind of run. I don't know if the object filler will be able to handle that. We'll see. So it's failing, which is great. It's failing for the right reasons. Yeah, see, object filler interface marker missing and type method info not registered. So it doesn't know how to generate for this guy. And that's okay. There's a better way we can figure this out. We can basically go and say this filler method, let's first understand what's coming back from here. And based on that information, like, is it so terrible we don't know what that value is? Let's just find out here first. Okay, so dependency method. I hope this guy is not coming back as null. Yeah, this is it. So what does it have really that's super important? Metadata token. Because we can probably kind of abstract away the types here. Count, constructor, argument, attribute type, and a whole bunch of stuff in there. Yeah, it has a whole bunch of details in there. What's the concrete return type of get method though? Like if we go into the implementation of this guy, does it actually return method info as an abstract class, or does it return something else? Right? Let's go find the source code of this guy, because we need to be able to mock this somehow, right? So source.net, and here is method info. So here's the class, that's the source code. And then I think we have something called where is my get method? Oh, on the type actually. It's not the method info itself. It has something on the type that actually does that. Just out of curiosity, what is this method base? It's also abstract. And then member info is also abstract. Yeah, fun. Okay, let's go the type on the type itself. The type itself should have a method in here that says get method in here. Let's find it. Get method. There it is. And this guy really, just goes and says, here's the method and then the default lookup. And they actually return these values. And then there's get method implementation. Here's another get method implementation. More and more lovely, lovely details that I'm excited about. And then it says not supported exception. All right. Okay, so it's doing some craziness in there, that we don't know what it's doing. It's just doing some craziness. We need to actually research. We need to figure out, we need to localize the model. The model needs to be localized somehow, because if we can't localize that model, we won't be able to kind of proceed. This is a nice challenge, because we're basically looking at a situation where this method information is not good enough at this level, and we want to basically verify. Okay, let's start with this. Can we actually create a method info in here? Method info, new method info. Can we actually create one? Okay, yeah, it's not happy. Why? Yeah, you can't create an instance of an abstract type. What's another way we could do this? If I say method info dot yeah, method info has all kind of weird stuff. How do we create a value out of an abstract class? We need to create a value out of that abstract class and stay true to it. Let's see. Initialize abstract class C#. There is this thing that says get uninitialized thing. Let me show you. There's a thing that we play around with a lot that we researched a while ago, which is basically getting the SQL from value from there. You can actually get uninitialized type, and you can treat that type as a type. So let's see if we can do that. Here's our unit tests, foundations, exam fees, tests, and this guy here. This guy will allow you to actually get an abstract type. Let's see if we can do this together. So if I go here, I need this get random method info, and I can go and do that. Say SQL exception formatter, give me, well, I don't want the SQL exception, I need the method info. This weird, kind of implementation allows you to get a value for this guy, even if it's abstract. Get uninitialized object, right? An object that you can't initialize, it will initialize it for you. It's weird, right? Formatter services. So if I go back here, I can basically go and say, okay, this create random method, blah blah, that should all be okay. And let's run this again. we don't have to worry now about that. Takes care of the object filler piece, right? So object filler is not going to be able to initialize an abstract class. Great. This method is supposed to fail, but we want it to fail member access exception. Cannot create an abstract class. Oh, so even that guy doesn't work. Method info, method info. So what should we do? Let's see. Initialize method info, C#. We need to figure out a way to kind of initialize that guy. What is logical method info? Is this some implementation that we can use? Let's see. Maybe there's something that we can use. Logical method info. Using service web services protocols. What is that? Let's go back into, see, that's the fun of programming. You get to kind of, so if I type method info in here, there gotta be something that's concrete that is being used to return that stuff. But what is that concrete thing? That's what we need to find out. Let's see, method info, this is all great. What is a method info wrapper? There, method info wrapper inherits from method, but that guy is internal though, we can't use it. I need something that inherits from method info so I can work with it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to make my own, which I don't want to do. But let's just see. Method info operation selector. Looking for classes. Property. This is all properties. Exper method info. Nope, that's not it. So if I click on this guy, it might allow me to kind of find some concrete implementations of this guy. Look at all these different projects. I love source.net because it helps you a lot kind of find how things are implemented underneath and kind of figure out a way to kind of utilize that. I mean, there gotta be something out there that's basically remote invoke handle, method info, get method information, delegate, and then there's get method info. Yikes. And then get methods. Something out there is implementing this guy. And we just need to find out get declared method. What if I do like method info? I don't think you'll be able to find like a literal. Would it? That would be nice. Okay, maybe GitHub has the answer to this. So there is something that implement method info. The easy part is to create my own and just go mock it, and be like, okay, that's that. But that's not what I want. Yeah, who's implementing method info out there? Also, that's not C#. I want C#. No, the answer must be in here. Something out there is implementing that method info. So get method returns method info. So this guy here will return a method info. See, people have their own kind of, what is this, FTP method info in system.net? What does this class look like? It's internal. Great. Dynamic method. Let's see, what is this dynamic method? Dynamic method. System reflection emet. Can I use this one? That would be cool. Let's see here. New filler dynamic method. Right, and this guy is supposed to return method info anyway, so we should be good here. But I want to see if it can create one. That would be cool. Yeah, just something that returns method info. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be a specific type or anything. I just need to create that object. Okay, so is this failing? Is it failing? System reflection emit dynamic method through an exception. The type dynamic method was not registered in the randomizer. So yeah, because it doesn't know how to generate that. It doesn't know that type, right? But can I actually go and say just return new dynamic method? Like that, dynamic method. Can I actually initialize it? So it's sealed. It means that you can't inherit from it, but can I actually use it? Okay, it needs a name, a return type, and parameters. Oh, if that's all that it is, that's easy. You can just give it a bunch of things. Null, null. Here, just a name. There you go. And this guy will come back and say, dynamic method does not contain a constructor that contains one argument. Sure, null, null. Happy? Happy, happy? Okay. So if I run this now, it should probably help out. Let's see if that's true. We also really want to scan out that method info and localize it into a model. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, there you go. This is great. That means we're getting the right information. It says the method or operation is not implemented, which is great, right? Because that's what we're really expecting. So now what do we do? Now we need to go implement this. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Sorry, a failing method in here. So this is a fail. That's the fail. And then in here we basically want to go and say let's implement it. So let's go into the reflection service, and we're just going to call our dependency. That's really all that we're going to do. So this is our broker dot get method info, type method name, done and done. So if I go back here and run this guy, it passed. Yay. So this same as works because I dereferenced. No, I didn't even dereference. That's weird. Actual expected method info. Weird. That's weird. Why did that happen? I thought I actually did dereference that. Huh. Okay. The last thing I want to do here is basically say reflection mock dot verify no other calls. Like this. So this will verify that we haven't made any other calls and it's all bunnies and rainbows out there. Great. Okay, cool. Cool. So this is good. Here we go. Perfect. So I'm just going to go here and add that to the pass part. Here. Okay, so that takes care of this method. We still need to do validations. Right, that's the whole point. We have a service, but because this is a beta release, I'm just going to put the skeletons and then I'm going to let the community kind of fill in the rest of the details. Let's go back to this one here and let's just say this is done. Okay, we need the patch service now, right? And the patch service has two capabilities. Let's just go ahead and do that. So let me first create a pull request for this guy. Here we go, sync up, let's go. Successfully synchronized incoming and outgoing. Where's the pull request though? Let's go back to here. InternalMock. Infra, no, I don't need that one. That's the one I want. foundations, retrieve method information. And that should be retrieve method information. There you go. So this guy actually lets you search. I love it. Closes number 5. Okay. Still kind of weird. Let me go back here. So would this let me say should be equivalent? No, it's not. Okay, fine. If we localize this, it will be much simpler. But that's a whole new research that we have to look at. Okay, so let's just get off the ground. So here's this guy, merge, done. Okay, let's go build the other method. The other method here will also be under foundations, but the only difference here is that it's not going to be a reflection method. It's going to be the patching service. So let's do that. Okay, so let me pull in latest. Should see services in here. Yes, we are. Come on. Perfect. Okay. What's the next step here and why this package is angry? Convert collector. Rebuild everything. I don't like when you see warnings, don't just look at it and be like, it's not my problem. Nope, you can't do that. You have to make sure you fix your stuff. Oh, this guy's still on 7. Okay, let's save that. Yeah, now it's good. Okay, let's create a new branch. Users, Hassan, Habib, foundations, dot. We want to patch, right? So patch. Okay. We want to be able to patch a service in this particular realm, which is great. Okay, that basically means I can go into services under foundations. Here's a folder called patches. What do I call it? Patchings. Okay. And then here is an interface, iPatch service. Or should we call it patching service? Something to look at. Okay, public, and then I want to go here and say, here's a method info. This guy also returns a method info, but we really don't care about it. It doesn't really matter what it's doing. Like, we don't really care what we do with that. But maybe somewhere down the road we will need to. You know what? Since it's kind of an unlocal model, I will kind of wrap it up and hide it away like that. So here's patch methods, and this guy takes a method info 1, which is the original, and then method info 2, which is the additional. So original method info, and this is additional method info. Because you gotta be very descriptive. Did I just say original and additional in here as well? That sucks. Original method info. Be very descriptive as much as you can in your code. Otherwise, you're gonna have to write code comments and documentation. So you choose your own pain, right? This is 97 lines of code, so it should be okay. Yeah, I think this is okay. 106, yeah. It's just because I'm zoomed in, you see it big, but it actually isn't. Okay. Alright, so this patch methods, good. Control KE, create. Let's create the actual concrete class in here. Come on. This patch service. And this patch service here will go and say Control KE, public class IPatch service. There you go. And this patch service will have these methods in there. And it needs a dependency, so private read-only IPatch broker. Patch broker. And here's a CTOR. Actually, we need that guy like this. Control generate. There you go. Okay. There you go. And now we need to write a test for this, right? So under foundations, let's go create a new folder. Let's call it patchings. And under patchings, we're going to go and say, here is my patch service. Patch service tests. Come on. You can do it. Come on. There you go. And here is your public class. Private read-only mock IPatch broker, right? That's the guy that we want. IPatch broker. This is your patch broker mock. Private read-only IPatch service. Here you go. And here's a constructor. And what does the patch broker? It just needs two methods, just two random methods to be thrown in there. So I think that's okay. Also, before I forget, I should probably randomize this guy. This guy needs to be randomized. Yeah, this guy here. So in here, I'm gonna go and say random method name, get random method name. Yeah, I forgot that one completely. Random method name. So that's one. And then what is this guy? Yeah, I got too happy. I forgot, about that one. And this guy here is get random type. So this is type get. So it's a random type. Get random type. There you go. So I can throw that type in there. And also, what is this guy? Like a list of parameters and whatever? Sure, why not? Let's go here and say, and we probably need the naming for these things. So Control Shift dot, I think. No, Control Shift dot. Alt Shift. What was it? Control Shift space. There it is. Control Shift space. Or is it just Control space? Shift space? No, it's Control Shift space. This is the guy that gives you the, so this is name. Okay, that's part of it. So this is here. And then return type. And then this guy also Control Shift space. It wants parameter types. Parameter types. Parameter types. This guy's actually truly randomized. Okay, until we localize it. That's a to-do piece. We shouldn't let that propagate all the way upstream like that. Foundation services shall be responsible about the mapping and remapping of that. So in here, I need a list of those, right? So this is the random type, and this random type needs to come in as a list. Sure. Private static type get random types. And I want an return enumerable. Come on. Int random number get random. Do I have get random number? I don't have a method for get random number. Okay, private stat. Now that we need it in two different places, get random number. Here's new int range 0 to I don't know. Since we want a bunch of them. Yeah, 2 to 9, 2 to 10. Dot get value. This one is governed. This one is specific for this cause, but in here we can do whatever we want. So get random number in this guy, and I want to say enumerable dot range. Start from 0, count to random number, and then select for each item. Go ahead and get random type. So every time it'll try to get a new random type, and that will be that. Random number. Okay, now why this guy is mad? To array, as array, to array. Yeah, Visual Studio just can't keep up with me, that's the problem. There you go, here you go. Get random types, and then in here I can go and say, okay, here's a type, random types, get random types, and then I can go here and say random types, and we're done. Okay, let's just make sure our test is still running, though, because if they're not running, then what's the point, right? Let's run this. That's the quick code rub, you know, just kind of, it doesn't change anything. We just need a model. It doesn't matter what this model is, but we really want to randomize it. There you go. So here you go, code rub, fill, dynamic method info. And that's just that one guy for the reflection service. So let's stage this guy in here, and let's just commit that guy individually, just as is. Okay, great. Now let's go back to our business here. I want to be able to generate just 2 methods, and it returns a third one. So I just need a random method generator, which is the guy that we just built. We're gonna need it. Like whatever we put in here, that effort that we just put in here, we're gonna need it like really right away. So I need all of this basically, all the way down to this guy. I need it over here. Right? Okay. Method info. Get random method name. Oh yeah, that's right. And we also need this guy. And we need get random method name. So basically everything. Literally everything we had over here, we want it over here as well. And that's okay. Mnemonic string, yeah, should be a good. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, the patching still, you know. So okay, so this dot patch broker mock, and then also this dot patch service equal new patch service, and in here I basically want to say patch broker this dot patch broker mock dot object. Boom, done. Okay, what is this guy complaining about? It's never used? What are you talking about? Just used it. It's just catching up. Visual Studio is still trying to catch up with me, that's all. Let's rebuild this. Maybe they'll go away. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Visual Studio is like kind of hold your horses there, right? Hold your horses and don't harsh my mellow. Okay, this is fun. Okay, we're almost done. We got the we got the method. Now we just need to write the logic for it. Let's just make sure that this guy's partial. Control KE, cleaned up, perfect. Let's go here and say add class, and I want a patch service test.logic.cs. Since this guy has 2 methods, but I'm not planning on doing all the validation yet, since I'm calling this beta, I'm saying still not ready yet, you know, I won't separate on the logic yet in terms of what we're calling and all that. Things will just stay as is. Okay, so it's this guy, and then I want to go here and say public void should patch methods. Okay, so given when then, and there is your method info. Come on, buddy. Here we go. Random first method info. Random original method info. Get random method. Create random method. There you go. Let's go. Help me out. Create random method. There you go. Okay, perfect. Method info. Visual Studio is done with me today. Doesn't want to work with me anymore. Like, you suck. Go do something else. Okay, method info here. Also this guy, and I also want to do method info original method info. Random original method info. Okay, let's copy that. I'm gonna random additional method info. Additional method info. So this is done. Great. What else do we need here, my friends? We need the return type. And I think this guy, when it patches, it returns a method info actually. So method info random returned patched method info. Create random method info. And then here's method info patched returned. Sorry, patched method info. Random patch method info. Come on, Visual Studio, what the heck? Okay, this thing is dead. Doesn't want to work with me anymore. Okay, so this is that, and then I need my expected, right? Because that's gonna come back, right? So this is my expected method info. And that's the patched method info, basically. Okay, great. We have our test here. Let's put this test to business, right? So this .mock .setup broker .patch, I think, patch methods. So what do we have? Original method info, additional method info, and then it returns. See how easy it is? Everything is just flowing. Right after you define your stuff, now you're in the good zone, right? Patched method info. Right, and I probably need to deep clone that one. There you go. So the setup is done. Now I have method info actual method info. This dot service. Come on. Service. Patch service. Patch methods. Original method info, additional method info, and we're done. And what was this guy expected to return? Did I say hide whatever? Oh, I did, didn't I? Well, okay then, fine. Let's take this out. We don't need that. Fine. Fine, Hassan Habib. You made it. You win. There. And this guy's returning something, but we don't care, right? So we're just gonna validate it down the road. Okay, so this dot mock broker mock verify, because we want to hide away this leakage that's happening from your external resources going through your services. We need to find a way. This will be an ongoing progress of cleaning up the service to make sure it lives up to the standard, right? But okay, this is the original method info and then additional method info, and then we want to make sure that this guy was called times.once, and that's it. Is there anything else? Just verify no other calls. So patch method info, verify no other calls. Done. Okay, that's great. That makes me very happy. Control KE. Let's run this and let's fail. Let's fail together. Let's fail like real people. Let's fail. Okay, so this guy here, what do you have? The operational method is not implemented. Let's go ahead and put this guy as a fail. And then let's go into the patch methods function and let's make this pass. We're going to go here and say patch broker. This dot patch broker will do that crazy stuff. Since we want to break it down a little bit, let's go here and say return. Or it actually doesn't return anything, so it's just going to be this guy, just like that. Okay, does this make the test pass? I don't know, let's find out. Let's go here, run this guy. Do I have a pass? Do I have a pass? Yes, done. Okay, so this guy is also done. Now I get to push this guy upstream, push, and I get to create a pull request. I think that's why it didn't give me that create pull request thing last time. It was basically saying I don't know what you're working on. Okay, brokers, sorry, foundations, patch methods, right? And that's okay. Closes, patch, where is patch methods? Right here, create pull request. It runs and passes and it's happy and all that. Great. Let's do this. Clean and clear. I forget an extra line somewhere. I don't think so. Did I forget any copyrights? No, I didn't. Okay, done. Great. Let's move on to the no, not the orchestration service. Still need to do the unpatching, right? So we want to go and do something very similar to that, but this time it's going to be much simpler. We're just going to write a here. Let's go back to master branch. Come on, and sync up. This time we want to basically want to go and say I want to unpatch, and that's going to be the easiest thing in the world. Hassan Habib foundations unpatch. Here's a new branch. Still in the logic area. This is retrieve method info. We want the patching. This guy right here. Control MO will collapse things for you. And then let's go down here and say fact. Public void should unpatch methods. That's it. That's all it does. There's even no given. It's just given when, like this, and you're basically going and saying, give me the service dot unpatch. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I didn't even write the method yet. Okay, let's break those down since they're becoming annoying. Here. Okay, here. Let's go here. Void unpatch methods. That's it. And we need to go here and just kind of pull that guy down as an implementation. And it's not implemented. Great, good job. Let's do it like this. And then I'm going to go into my tests. I'm basically going to say unpatch methods. Which methods are these? Whatever you have running for you at this point in time. Harmony will be initiated by the same instance. So technically that should work. So given when and then. The then part is basically in this test is basically saying this dot mock dot verify broker dot unpatch all times once done. And then I want to go here and say mock dot verify no other calls. Okay. Perfect. Let's do this. Let's run all the tests. Here's a failing test. Fail, and then let's go and let's say unpatch methods. This dot broker dot unpatch all, just like that. And that should make that test pass. And pass. Ready? Go green. Let's assume it passed. Okay, there you go. Commit all and push should give me a create pull request, and we should be golden with our methods. This guy. Foundations. Unpatch all methods. Closes. Unpatch. Did I create a foundation service for unpatching? I don't think I did. Bad Hassan. So foundations, unpatch, all methods. Is your guy. Let's go back into our pull request. foundations, unpatch all methods, closes, unpatch that guy. Let's look at it, just make sure it's clean and clear and it's doing the right stuff. Yeah, the easiest test in the world. Okay, great. Let's write that. Let's go back here. Okay. So now on our map, we need to, this guy's done, we need to implement this guy, right? And this guy is going to be interesting, right? Because now we're going to receive a we basically want to receive a particular type and a particular method name. Okay, so we're building this beta release for this library, mock internal, to have an internal method throw an exception, right? But we can have an internal method also return something, right? We're gonna start with the throw an exception because it's super beta. We can just fulfill our current purpose, what we're trying to get done, and create a bunch of opportunities for people who are on Git file that want to fill in these tasks and go ahead and finish it. So what's our input? Our input is going to be two things. We need the exception that needs to be thrown. What is this exception that needs to be thrown? We need to know about it. And we need to know the type, and we need to know the method name. And that's it. So these are three parameters that want to pass in. Type, method name, and exception. And we basically throw that exception. We're going to basically throw that exception, and that exception is going to represent the value that will be returned when we're actually patching these methods. So you see how the more you grow into building things into a standard, the more you understand that your orchestration service, the one that defines your purpose, is the one that requires most of the thinking. With orchestration service, you're going to think more and do less. With foundation service or brokers, you're going to do more and think less. There's no thinking there. You're just getting things through the system, right? Well, let's do that then. We're not going to just, this code is not going to write itself, right? Let's sync up with the master branch, and let's build this freaking library. Let's make sure it works. More important than anything. So, okay, services. I need a foundation service. Orchestration service. Can orchestration services internal mocks? Should we call it? Need a better name for it. Internal mocks. And inside this guy, we need an orchestration service called internal mock orchestration service. internal mock orchestration service. And this internal mock orchestration service, we need an interface actually. Interface. Okay, this service internally will know what to do with the thing that you want to return. So it just needs the object from you, the object of the exception that you want to throw. Okay, so I'm going to call this mock. We need to start with the method name that we need to care about. So the string internal method name. Okay, so that's one. What else? We want the service name, right? So this is type, right? Type, the container basically, that would be the service, ideally. And also we want something of an exception that will be thrown. And I'm going to tell you in a second what exactly we're going to do with that. Okay, let's create a concrete class for this. So this is InternalMock Orchestration Service. And this service have the two dependencies, right? Like this is the iPatch. Let's start with the iReflection service. That's the service that's going to give us information. This is reflection service. And also we want read-only iPatch service. This is a patch service. And all of these guys need to be initialized like this. Why it doesn't like iPatch service? I thought I called it iPatch service. Here. Let's create a branch real quick. Users, Hassan, Habib, orchestrations, mock. So this is the method, it's called mock, that's all. Let's try this again. iMock service, there you go. Okay. Control K, clean this up, and then we also want to go and say internal orchestration service, internal mock orchestration service. That's giving me this implementation here. Okay. Now, what are we going to do with that? There are some expectations, right? I want to throw some exception that will go through that system. You know, the exception will be passed in to some other method. I have a private method in here, private static method in here, and this method called throw exception, right? And it takes in an exception and it just throws it. That's all it does. It takes in an exception as an input parameter and it just throws it. Throw exception, just like that. But this guy is internal, right? It doesn't, we don't know anything about it yet. Not just yet, but we will. Okay, so let's go write a test for it. So services, orchestrations, right? And the orchestration, the beautiful thing about our dependencies is that I don't need to know about much anymore. Like it just takes in parameters and it needs to kind of work with these parameters. And this is the part of the orchestration. I need to retrieve two pieces of information and get back a little bit more about that information, right? And each one of them will do exactly that. So let's just write a test class. Let me take away the camera here so you can see what I'm doing, because it's a little bit lower in the Solution Explorer. So this is my, so under orchestrations, we still want to say internal mocks, right? So there's a new folder. Oops, let's go back here. There's a new folder in here, and I'm going to call it internal mocks. And then in internal mocks, I want to create a test class. I'm going to call it internal mock orchestration service tests. Okay, so that's my guy. Public class, internal test orchestration service test. Yeah, that's right. And then let's get our dependencies. Mock iPatch service. I'm writing a mock library with the mock library. So, okay, this patch service mock. Private read-only mock reflection service. Since we're going to be calling the reflection service first, we should probably do that. So reflection service mock. Okay, what else do I need to do? Control K. I'm gonna go here and say private read-only I internal mock orchestration service. Internal mock orchestration service. There it is. Okay, it's not too big, just big because of the screen. And then I need a CTOR. I need to initialize these guys. Come on, AI, help me out. AI. AI is dead. Internal mock orchestration. See, when you need it, it's not going to help you. So know what you're doing. Reflection service. Patch service. Oop. Okay. Okay, this is good. We're going places, right? What do we need? We also need to steal these ideas about creating a method info, right? I want all that information about stealing a method info. Sorry, creating a method info. But some things in this test will be hard-coded intentionally, and I'll explain that in a second. There you go. You have a whole bunch of things that we need to pull in. I think there was a trick where you select everything and do control period. No. Ah, sad. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. This is just beautiful. So now I have everything I need. I can now go ahead and say, you know, I think I have what I need. I can get a random method name and I can pass it in. Let's go write a test. So now the test is going to be the interesting part. So the orchestration services, now the complexity is increasing tiny bit. According to the standard, we are eliminating away the dependencies so we can actually focus on the complex logic. And if you focus on the complex logic alone, you know, it will make things a lot easier for you to kind of understand, you know, what the service is doing, because it's very single purpose. It's really focused on specific things. Okay, I'm assuming this guy's freaking out because it's not internal as well. Sorry, partial. So this is partial. I think we're clean here. Let's go down here. Okay, here we go. What are we gonna do? Let's see. Public void should mock methods. We have a given, we have a when, we have a then. It's great. Okay. So we need some exception, okay? So this is some exception. That's our parameters, right? We also need some type, right? So this is a type, random type, get random type. That's the type that will be of the service itself. This get random type. Okay, so this here is going to be my input type. Okay. We need a method name. So method random method name equal get random method name, and here is your input method name. Okay, this is fantastic. We also want two different method names that come in for the type. We need two random method infos that will come in for the type, right? So that comes after all of this. We basically want to go and say method info, right? And this will be original method info. Let's create random method info. And this one will be additional method info. And we're going to create a new one for this. Okay. Now here comes the fun stuff. I want to go here and say this. First of all, I'm calling the reflection to give me back the information that I need, right? So I need my reflection mock to happen first. And I'm going to go here and say set up this guy. So this service, when it's called, when this service is called, we want to retrieve method information for the input method name, and it should return the original method info. This should be a good statement, I think. I hope. Why is it mad? Oh, because it wants the type. That's right. Right. My bad. Input type. And that's totally okay. The second one is the one that's interesting. This dot reflection service mock dot setup service dot retrieve method information. The type is the type of the internal mock orchestration service. And the method name is throw exception, because that's what we're actually retrieving information for. So this guy is going to return, oh no, we still want, so that's that one guy, and then here method name, it will be throw exception. Right? And this guy will return what? The additional method info. So we're calling this dependency twice, and we're making sure that this dependency is giving us both method information for both of these dependencies. Look at the orchestrate. This is the orchestration. This is the heavy stuff, right? But it's simple because you're calling your dependencies, so the code is somewhat straightforward. Yikes. Now we need to call the patch, right? So we need to go here and say, I want to go and say patch service mock dot. We don't even want it to return anything. We just want to verify that this service has been called, right? So this dot service dot mock, and this service will take all that good stuff that we just passed in. So your internal method name and the type and everything else in between. So this is your input method name and your input type and your exception. That's it. Now let's verify these two, that they actually happened before anything and everything. And then we're going to verify a third thing. This will turn into verify, this will turn into verify, and this guy will turn into times once. And the same thing will happen with this guy here. What's the last thing? The last thing is the most interesting one. The last thing is here where we go and say, give me the patch mock, match service mock, and verify that this service mock has actually been called with this method information. So service.patch methods, and here's your input or original method info, an additional method info, and that guy should be called at least once. Just like that. See? Let's break those apart a little bit from the crowd, so your eye is not hurting you with the details. Okay, now the last thing I want to do is just verify no other calls. Like all our mocks, verify that there's no other calls for any of them. We started with the reflection, so we're going to start with the reflection, and then we're going to go with the patch service, and we're going to go and say patch service, verify no other calls. That's it. Let's run this guy. Control KE will clean things up, and then let's just run the test. Fail. Why is it failing? It needs to fail for the right reason. Method operation not implemented. This is a good failure. This is a successful failure, if that means anything to you. So this is a fail. Now let's go ahead and implement that. Let's do the good stuff. So this guy, how are we going to implement that? It's going to be very easy. Easy peasy Japanesey. Let's see. So we need method information first. So this is method info. Internal method name, method info, which will be this dot service, your reflection service dot retrieve method information. And retrieve method information will take in the type, and it will take in the internal method name. That's the first one. And then the second one, we want to also go and say get method info, but now we want the additional method info, which will be the reflection service dot retrieve method info with the type, which is the type of that very same service that we're in. This guy. So this is InternalMock Orchestration Service. And the name of the method is this method that we're in, throw exception. That's it. Okay. Now we just want to patch them together. And that would, if we're doing it correctly, it should pass. So this dot patch service dot patch methods, like this, and patch methods will take in internal method info, and it will take additional method info, just like that. If what I just did here is correct, this should pass. Let's find out. Boom, just like that. See how clean this is? Sweet and easy. Okay, let's commit that. Okay, let's push that upstream. And let's do the unpatch on the orchestration side. We already gone through the hard part in this particular service. Like the crazy part is done. Okay. Okay, let's go to GitHub. I didn't push upstream yet, or what? Committed locally. Sync. Come on. I got a warning from GitHub that I have exceeded my... I'm almost exceeding my... my limit. I'm using GitHub too much. GitHub is telling me I'm sick and tired of you. So okay, so this is mock internal service, right? So that basically means we can go here and say closes mock internal method. Done. Let's look at it again just to make sure. Here's a test. Ooh, I think I forgot something. Let's go back here. This is not exactly 100% correct. Let's go back here, go to implementation. Yeah, so I want to, let's go here and say private exception. I still want this guy in there. And whatever is going to be passed in here is going to be assigned to this guy. So this exception equal exception, like this. And this internal exception here needs to, this is what this guy is going to be throwing actually. So this guy doesn't really have inputs. at all. It's just throwing the exception. Yeah, this is the part. That's it. That's all I wanted to verify. Should we make this guy, well, it's static, but I want it to be accessible as well. So I want to make sure this assignment happens actually. So you're passing an internal exception and you want to make sure, we'll come back to this one. Okay, here. Minor fix, add internal exception. Okay. Yeah, that should be okay. So you're passing that exception as an input parameter and you're going and saying, give me that exception. Boom, you have it. Now you can work with that. Okay, love it. Let's clean these guys up a little bit. Okay. Code rub fix input parameters. Okay. Okay. The other one that we want to basically write is a pass-through, what I call a pass-through. And a pass-through is basically you going and saying, I need to be able to basically allow the unpatching to happen across my orchestration service, right? So this is an issue that I haven't written yet. Let's go here and say orchestrations, pass through, unpatch all. We're going to need that because you have to detach the code. And this is also another conceptual leakage, but we'll talk about that later. We can do it on dispose and stuff like that. That will take care of that scenario much, much faster. We'll come back to this piece. So let's go back here. Okay, so let me go back to master branch. Let's pull the latest and greatest. Okay, that's my guy. And then on the orchestration service, the easiest one in the world, we basically want to go and say void unpatch all. And I want to implement that guy, so we're going to go here and say here's implementation. That's your unpatch all, and it public should be above private. So that's done here. And this guy is not implemented, not just yet. We're almost there, we're almost done. Okay, let's write a test. And this test, all it's doing, it's going to go and validate, oh, did you call the thing? Yes, I did. That's it. It will be very, actually, where is it? It will be very similar to this guy, except that we're changing our calls from, because it's pass-through, it's not really doing anything special. So should unpatch all methods. Here is your service orchestration service. Unpatch methods. Oh, is that what I called it? Unpatch methods. Okay. Fine. Unpatch methods. Here. And then all I want is my patch service mock. And here is your service. And this guy should say unpatch methods. And here's a service. And since this one is the one that's being called first, we're going to basically go and say the reflection service is also never called, but it was never also called in that particular order. Okay, let's run this guy. We should have one failing test in our journey here. Okay, so this is operation is not in good shape. Let's go here. This is fail. Done. Perfect. Now we need to make this pass, right? So let's go here and make this pass. The easiest pass in the world. Just gonna go here and say this dot service patch service dot unpatch methods. Done. So So I can go back to my tests here and run all of them, and it should be all be happy. Pass, done. So that wraps up all the test-driven pieces in our core service here, right? These are dependencies, and this is an exposure, right? But we're just saying that we implemented this. Okay, so now the internal mock extensions. Let's get to the end game, right? Well, first of all, we need to just create a pull request first for this one, and then we'll go publish a beta version, of this library, and then we can use it. But we need to try it internally first, and then we can use it and all that. What? Where's my internal mock? What am I missing? Ooh, I pushed this straight to the master branch. Yeah. This is why engineers should have access to master branch. Sorry about that. So let's close this one out. Okay, the last one is the final piece, which is the implement extensions library. And this extensions library is going to do that stuff for us. So basically, it's going to initialize the orchestration service. And then out of this initialization, it will basically do all the magic that we want it to do. So let's go and do that. Let's go here and say, let's create a new branch first. This time we're going to have to create a new branch. New branch, users, Hassan, Habib, exposers, extension, mock. So this is basically our final piece, the equivalent of a controller or a UI piece. It's an exposure layer, right? And under this guy, so this is broker services, I'm gonna go here and say clients, because that's the client of your library, right? Or extensions rather, because that's what this is. Extensions, that's an exposure layer. And under extensions, we're gonna create just one class that will be called internal mock extensions. Let's go. Let's go. There he goes. Internal mock extensions. That's an extension class. And this class basically hooks up to whatever service you have. You're going to love how easy it looks. Just simple and easy. No complications. This is public static class because it's going to hook up to something else. Okay. And then what we want to do here, we want to basically go and say public void, doesn't really return anything. We still want to unpatch all, right? So okay, let's say private static internal mock orchestration service. That's your internal mock orchestration service. Okay. And I want to go here and say public void mock. And this will be this dot object, any object out there. And that would be the service that you're trying to mock. And we also want the internal method name. So it's method name that you want to mock. And we also want the exception that you want to throw. And I think that would be it. That would be everything. I think that would be everything you need. Okay, let's get first things first. We need to initialize this guy, right? So private static void internal mock orchestration service. Right, and this guy say, create a mock service. Okay, what is inside this guy? All the good stuff, right? So we want to go and say, here's my my patch broker. This is the equivalent of you registering an ASP.NET Core. When you register the classes and all that, that's the equivalent of this. There's a way to do dependency injection in some console application. This is the poor man's kind of initialization. So this is what a patch broker, right? That's my patch broker. I also want my reflection broker. Come on. Is your patch and reflection broker. And now we can have reflection service. Is your reflection broker. And also we want our patch service. That's your patch service, like this. Patch broker. What's wrong with it? Let's go. Okay, and then the last thing, we just want to return the internal mock orchestration service. So we need a new instance of this guy. And this internal mock orchestration service will take in the reflection service and the patch service. Done. So now I can go here and say internal mock and then create mock service. Okay, we took care of that. That's like the startup CS equivalent if you're building ASP.NET Core stuff. Now what are we going to do with that? Now I have the service. All I got to do is just go and say internal mock orchestration service dot mock, and it has some requirements. It wants the method name, and then it wants this service dot type, this very service that I have here. Doesn't it? It should. Oh, it's okay. Let's see. Mock internal. Let's call this mock internal instead. I don't think it matters actually. Yeah. So this is the method name, and then we also want Control Shift space. It wants the type, right? So that's that service type of service. And I don't know why I put an at in here. It should be okay. This is that guy. Or I think it's service.get type or something like that. Like that, okay? And then the last thing is the exception. That's it. On paper, this solves our problem. Like on paper, I have a solution. But does it actually work? We have to test it. You can't just go and say, oh, things are just going to work, right? We have to test it and kind of hash out all the bugs, because that's the end of it. That's the end of the line in here. That takes care of this guy. Right? Is this really how this is going to work? I don't know. Let's find out. So let's do this. Let's go back to our, remember our expression service. Let's rebuild this guy, just make sure it's still mad at us. And we have the exceptions piece. Okay, remember this is the piece that we said, this is the ugly piece, right? And this is the ugly piece. And you have expression service, you know, we're throwing an exception and harmony method, and we basically want to say when this exception happens, that's right. And then in the foundation here, we basically were playing around a little bit with, you know, the validation implementation of this, and we basically went and said if use try catch, so this test here should pass, right? Like this should work, but it's not ideal, right? Let's just run it real quick to make sure. What is that? Cannot suppose system exception was thrown. Let's see. New expression. Yeah, that's right. Let's run all of this. Okay, we have one failing. Oh, is this because I didn't do unpatch all? That's right. So this here is the unpatch all piece. Like in here, you basically say harmony. and then unpatch all. Oh, speaking of which, see, this is a great stuff, right? Because um, this is why we do unpatch all. This is a great kind of segue into this, because once it patches, it ruins all the other services for you. So it doesn't work like that. Why is this guy mad? Oh, because this is the service that we don't know how to patch. So I'm gonna skip this one now. Skip and say unmockable. Right? This guy is unmockable because we can't pretend that there's an exception that will come out of this, because it wouldn't, because there's no dependency, right? And this one here is the bad one, and we can give this one a name. Like we can go here and say, can I give it a display name right there? Display name garbage solution. This solution doesn't work for us. It's really ugly. We can't expect people to run reflections. You know, if you really care about engineering experience, have to simplify things, right? See, it says garbage solution right here. So let's do the good solution, right? We're going to take this whole thing again, except that this time we're going to use this awesome library. So this is going to be awesome solution, right? And this is going to be number 3. And this awesome solution here, it's going to clear out all of this. I'm going to throw away half of this. This is going to go away. All of this is going to go away. So let's do that. Let's throw all of this out. And let's just go here and say, I want to pull in this library into my system. Let's add this, let's see, add project reference, browse. Where did I put my library? Repos. We called it InternalMock, right? So let's see, D, source, internal, ABCD, EFG, InternalMock right here. Bin, debug, 6, InternalMock. So I'm adding my library here just for testing purposes. And now I'm going to go here and say this. Okay, instead of all of this nonsense. Ooh, before I forget, we forgot to do the, to add a little piece in here. Hold on. Back to our mock service, we still need also another one. Public, static, void, clear all other calls. Clear all other calls. And this guy's going to do internal orchestration. That's a pass-through that we did together, right? And this guy still needs the this.object service, right? And this guy is saying internal mock orchestration dot unpatch all, right? Unpatch all methods. There he is. Yeah, we really need that one, right? Because that's the one that's gonna make our tests look seamless, right? And beautiful. Okay, let's go back to our solution. And let's build just to make sure that we're looking at the right stuff. Okay, perfect. So check this out. This is how I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna go ahead and say, here's the exception that I want to throw, just some service exception. There's no problem with that, right? But now I can go and say this dot service. This is my service. I can go and say mock, right? And that guy requires the reference. There's internal reference extensions. See, and this guy, it needs a method name. So what's my method name? It's called getCaret, right? This guy, like this. And it also wants the exception that I want to throw, which is the exception. Done. See, I mocked my service itself in here. And then at the very end here, I want to go and say this dot service dot clear all other calls. Just like verify no other calls, this one says clear all other calls. That's it. That's all that it is. The service, you're mocking it. Give me the name. Give me what you want to return. This guy says exceptions because it's beta release, right? You wanna have this internal dependency return something else. That's up to you. But that's basically how we're gonna do it. If this guy runs, I think we're done here. We're just gonna publish our library and say this is our beta release. Go ahead and have fun with it. If it doesn't, then we need to fix our problems. Ah, It failed. Let's see why it failed. Null method, why null method is the caret static? Let's make sure. Yeah, this has to be static. This is another thing that we need to kind of work with. If it's internal, that means it doesn't call any dependencies. Therefore, it's not going to call an instance of the class. I think that would be okay. Okay, this works. Except that the garbage solution is not happy now. Oh, the garbage solution is not happy because this guy says instance. It should say static. I think the library is done. Look how simple this is now. You're basically saying here's the exception. I'm gonna mock the service, run the service, whatever comes back, verify that the service is doing the right work, and then go ahead and say clear all other calls. And that's it. So we have a solution. We have a library. Right? It's simple, it's easy. It picks up the internal service that you have and mocks literally one internal part of it inside that service. One internal dependency. And that's it. That's all you have to do, right? Okay, let's publish this library together. Well, we need a nice we need a nice logo for this library, right? In order for us to make this work, we need a nice logo. Let's do all of this together. I'm going to walk you through the entire process of well first, okay, we tested this, so let's just publish this guy, right? We need to go here and say exposer, right? And this is your mock, implement mock and clear all other calls. Done. And now we go here and we create the pull request. Very clean, very clear. Done. Okay. Test driven, everything is there. So that closes this guy. Okay, internal mock is done. Now we need to publish it, right? Well, how do I publish these libraries? First of all, we need to find an icon. I'm a member, premium member of this website called Flat Icon that basically allows you to kind of find icons and everything. And we need something funny. Internal. Ooh, I like this. Look at this guy. Internal mock. I also like the try nature here. Does it have different colors? See, I'm gonna show you the entire production process. Let's see. I like things with colors though. Things with colors are better. If I can find one with colors, that would make me happy. Fine, I'll take this one. Fine. Okay, what do I need to do here? I need the icon version of it, right? I guess this one is okay too. Let's see, we need the icon version of this. Right, what were the types that I had to use in the past? What's the security policy? Ah, that's different. Okay, let's see, what did I do with RESTful Sense? Let's go here. RESTful Sense. What was the where did I put the image? Did I put it in the resources? API PNG. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think this is okay. I think this is all right. So okay, so this is work process. We wanna basically save this as internal mock. Okay. Okay, now I also need to do the resources piece, right? So how do you do that? You basically go and say in your CS proj, you don't remember these things. You know, you just have to kind of see what you did in the past and just go do the same thing. Um, let's try it together. I don't know. First of all, we have to be in release mode in order for you to create a NuGet package, right? So that's really important. And then, oh, not this one. This is easy regex. We're not done with this library for yet. This one here. So let's go to the master branch. Here you go. And I need to rebuild this solution just to make sure the product is ready. And then I'm gonna go and say, here's the properties of this project. So if you go into packaging, not packaging, yeah, packaging right here, it's gonna start asking you these questions, right? Produce a package file during build operations. Sure. This is version, authors. Uh, internal mock is a .NET library that uses reflection to mock internal static private methods. Copyrights Hassan Habib 2022. And there's a nice C letter that people put in there that makes it look nice. Project URL, let's put in the URL of the internal mock project. Here. Icon, we need an icon. It says PNG and image resolution 128, supported file formats. Let's find an icon for this guy. Desktop. Where is it? I thought I downloaded it in here. Ah, funny. Where did I save my image? Let's go here, and here is your internal mock. And icon, downloads, is my internal mock. README, this repository URL, the same thing. Repository type, get. Tags, I don't know, mock.net. Release notes, this is a beta release. Assembly version, file version, package license. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. So if I put this in release mode, I can now go and say, save all of this. It should freak out a little bit with some packages and stuff. So I don't want this to be 0.1, I want it to be 0.0 because it's actually a beta release that we're gonna build on top of. So I don't want that to be the case here. And then we don't have an MD file yet, not just yet, but I guess we could add one in there. So that's that. Interestingly enough, though, this is version, package version 0.01. Internal mock authors, Hassan Habib. Company, Hassan Habib. Internal mock product, yes. Yeah, I guess that's it. Internal mock, yeah, that's good. Let's rebuild this guy. So now technically, you know, if you look at my my Open File Explorer, if you look at bin release, do you see this package? That's the package, right? So what we want to do is that we want to go to NuGet.org and upload this package there. Sign in with Microsoft. Sign in, and let's upload this guy. Upload, browse. Need to find that file though. PCD source, InternalMock, bin, release, InternalMock. There it is. Let's see. Verify. All published packages should have license information specified. I know. We have to add the I love how it kind of picked up all of that, but we need license information. They're right. And we also need documentation, right? Fine, let's do that. Let's steal the documentation from RESTful Sense, because this is one of my favorite libraries. I need to pick this up just for the image. And I need to go to InternalMock. Yeah, I guess you have an MD file, it's just not ready yet, right? We'll just go here and say this is a beta release. Please use carefully. And I'm gonna slap in there the image, and if I push what I have right now, it should take care of saving that image somewhere. So in here, infra, add image. Let's push all of that upstream. I think we should have that image sitting somewhere in here. Do we have it? Oh, did I not include it? Hold on. We probably need to include it as well, because how are we? Yeah, copy, do not copy, copy always, build action, nothing. And I want this to be in source control though. Oh, is it because it's a reference? That's why. That's why. Oh, that sucks. It instead of copying the file, stupid. Let's copy this and let's paste it in here. Yeah, of course. So remove this. Let's copy this, paste it right here. Now we're talking. I need to change the icon version to the actual thing. So D source InternalMock. Where is it? It should be next to the services. All files. There it is. There. I think that's where it should be. Package. Yeah, this guy right here. Okay, let's build this guy again. Ouch, what is this? Oh yeah, because where in the application area I did something. Remove this. Come on, dude, let's see. What did I change? Item true package pack path item group content include application icon. That's the guy that I need to get rid of. It's going crazy. There you go. Now be happy, please. There you go. Okay. All right. So back, okay, infra, add images, add internal mock icon. Push all that upstream. Go back here. It should be here now. I hope. There it is. So I need that image here, and I'm going to slap it here in my description. This library allows you to mock internal, private, static methods in your service. Please watch following videos for context. And I'm gonna put that video that I'm recording right now, but I don't have that kind of power right now because I can't travel in time. But what I can do is that I can copy, you know, the test that we wrote in here. Example of usage, and just leave it to that. If I go into preview, it should show me this nice, sweet documentation. There you go. And then I can go here and do for more information, contact Hassan Habib at live.com. There you go. Okay, and this will be documentation, update, readme file. Create a new branch, users, Hassan Habib, documentation, update, readme. Propose changes, create changes, and merge that sucker right in there. Okay, so that's one. I also want to steal the the license, right? We need to add the license in there. There's RESTful sense. Where's the license? I put the license somewhere. There it is. So we're going to steal the license, just a text file, not a big deal. And we're going to go and add that MIT license in there. So here's your internal mock. I'm just going to go here and say add, new item. And this is going to be license.txt file. And then I'm going to slap that guy in there. I'm just going to say 2022. Take all of that out. Internal mock .NET library. Okay, this is good. All of this is good. Clean and clean. I think we can also add that to the package and documentation just to make sure that this is part of it. There is a piece here that says where's the license, right? README. Well, we should have a README file actually. If I'm syncing this right with master. Yeah, there it is. You have a README file. That's right. And also, where's the license piece? There should be a license piece in here. Where are you? This is beta release. What? Where did it go? I swear I had a license here somewhere. There it is. License. Embedded file, I guess. And this file is where? Is here. That's the license. And require license acceptance. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, people have to accept the license. Otherwise, if something breaks, you can blame it on me. But when you say nope, you have to accept the license, it does not exist in the package. What do we need to do for this license? Always copy. Copy always. Okay, there you go. Is there like an embed action or something? Workflow, C# compiler. Not sure. Let's see. I always run into this exact problem. This is why always write your code clean, because you're gonna need to go back and see what you did before. You know, this is why it's really important to put enough time and effort. See how much time and effort goes into this. You know, this is why I'm showing you this. You know, I could just talk to you about the topic, say, look, magic that happened, but let me show you how the magic's actually been done, so you can learn from it. What did I do for the license though? So did I go here? I said license package require license acceptance, and then I said license file, and I said, oh, item group pack true. Okay, so we just need to include it in here, that's all. Item group I think. Something like that. Does that make it happy? I hope it makes it happy. No, still doesn't exist in the current package. What am I missing? It's probably something really dumb. Um, license text always. I guess we don't need that. No, this is update and this is include. That's right. Let's go here, license CS proj. Yeah, this is the include. They should be okay with that. Also, where's this all uppercase license coming from? That's kind of weird. I don't think it's case sensitive, at least not in Windows. I don't think files are case sensitive. But anyway, just because you don't push a NuGet package every day, you know, you kind of have to kind of run around like a chicken with its head cut off until you get it actually right, right? So let's see here, package, license. Yeah, it's not license like that, just license like that. Maybe the uppercase thing is making it crazy. I don't know. License.txt. So stubborn. License.txt. See, I wrote the whole program and now I'm stuck on the require license acceptance. Yay, it was a misspelling. The L was lowercase. Ah. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have a release. We have a real release. Now we can go and say, you know, config release details. Let's push all of this upstream. And we are in release. You have to make sure you're in release mode. Pull and push, sure. I hope we don't have any conflicts. Okay, all good. Now let's go back to NuGet package. Let's browse again. Let's get that nice library. Make sure, look at the dates to make sure that this is actually the last thing that you just released. Let's see, update, project URL, get Hassan Habib, mock.net, this package, search results. And then in the file, if you want to add in an MD file, all you got to do is just go to your internal mock and go to your MD here and just copy that in there. I think they want the raw one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it won't like that one. Preview? Yeah, it has to be the raw one. So you have to go here and click raw, and it has to look at your whole thing in here. So there's that raw one. Come on, I just changed it. Come on. Ah, here, preview. There it is. See, whatever documentation I put in there. Internal mock, here's, it doesn't know how to render this image as well, which is really kind of bothersome, but here we are. This is beta. Release, please use carefully. This library allows you to mock internal private static methods in your service. Please watch the following videos. We don't have the following videos yet, but here we are. And now we can hit submit. And just because we hit submit, it doesn't mean that we're done. We actually need to remove the dependency from the internal copy that we had. We need to find this library on NuGet.org, and we basically need to use it. And once we're using it, I think we're done here. You know, that's an entire project end to end. Of course, there are things that needs to happen, right? Like, you know, if you go, this is why do I call this a beta release? Because I'm not happy with some things, right? Like for instance, foundations, add patch service validations and exception handling. These are not done. This is why it's a beta release. It works, but it has some edge cases that needs to be handled. What else? I want foundations, validate, reflection, service, inputs, and handle exceptions. Right? And what else? The orchestration. orchestrations, validate inputs, and handle exceptions. All right, I'll snack on those, or if someone from the community wants to take care of it, that's fine too. We also have what? We have orchestrations, test drive. What was the thing that I passed in and I was like, that's really bad. Oh, test drive input exception for throw exception method. See, all of these things are in my head. You have to know. And then what else? Foundations, localize method info across the entire solution. So in your orchestration services and your foundation services, somehow we need to take that method info and know what it actually needs from us, and then go do it. What else? We want infra, develop, build pipeline using a.NET. What else do we need, you guys? I think that's it. Just 6 issues for this library. It'll take care of everything. Oh, one more thing. Orchestrations, implement return mock instead of throwing exception mock. So we also want to allow not just that we're throwing exceptions. That's just the case that fits my preference. I'm also looking for improving it to have it return things as well. We want it to return things. Is there anything else? I think that's all that's missing in here. This is why it's a beta release. I'm not happy with it yet, but it should be enough. This is how you create a NuGet package. This is how you propose solutions to change the world, right? Let's see here if this guy's done. Hopefully it is. Yep, we're ready. There it is. Right? So here is a library, InternalMock. That adds to my to the artillery of libraries that I have that support building easy to use software. You'll see it all the way down here. Now let's be our own first clients, right? This is called eat your own dog food kind of thing. Some engineers call it this way. What are we gonna do? We want to go back to this exact same project that we have, and we're gonna remove the dependency. So this package dependency that has we're gonna remove where is it? Why can I not see InternalMock? Okay, so add project reference solution. Oh, it's gone. This guy should blow up actually. I think. No? Where is it getting that from? Did it go and build it again or what? Let's see here. Oh, maybe it's in projects, I think. Nope, it's not here. Great. Now we have 50 different solutions that we have to look across. There it is. Assemblies. Remove. Okay. Now let's first blow up. Let's go and say this is not working because you're calling things that we don't know about. And now we're going to go into manage NuGet packages. And we need to find InternalMock. There it is. There's our library right there. Install. Yep, you have to click on the other tab so it works. Okay, so this is done. And then now I have the library. Can I actually build things? We have to use it, right? Okay, and now I have to run all the tests and make sure things are running. So I run all the tests. Done. Now we figured it out, right? When we were doing the OData sessions, we were running exactly the same thing. Well, that's what we're going to be using it for. We're going to be using this library widely so we can kind of hash out the bugs and take care of all the little details. But that takes care of it. See how simple it is? You're basically The idea here, all this work is just to improve the engineering experience. Like all of this, all of these pieces are things you're familiar with. Now I'm just adding an additional detail that goes and says, hey, mock this internal library, right, out of your service, because it's an extension method. Whatever service you have, it's going to mock it. And then it's going to do the same thing here. Clear all other calls. Like you, the same way you're going and saying verify no other calls, I'm saying clear all other calls. It's not exactly that foreign to you. That's marketing. That's how you build a product, right? Okay, I guess it works. We have a library and it's running. It's beautiful. I love it. For I hope you find this somewhat useful. I hope you find this somewhat interesting. I know we're about 3.5 hours in here, but that's how you build, something, get something off the ground pragmatically, bring something to the, to the masses of software engineers and start using solving problems, innovating solutions, solving problems. I want to thank mainly, really specifically, Mabruk. Thank you for pointing out to the Harmony library. I didn't know about that. It's beautiful. Also, thank you, Ricky Cruz, for trying around with Harmony and playing around with Harmony. I start this problem. I love pragmatic engineers that just stick up the problem, understand what I'm looking for, and go try to get it done. And I also want to thank everybody else who tried, and did their due diligence, try to solve that problem. I'm really grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the people that are, kind of working with me around the clock to kind of build great software. I couldn't be any more grateful. And of course, for people watching, here's my implementation, InternalMock. We can now mock internally, follow the standard, building things properly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to give a compliment for Ricky Cruz and Mabruk, Madi, and I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in another video. Take care.